Okay, welcome to this presentation. So glad to have you join me. And today we're going to be talking about Kitchener Rising. Once again, this is Andrew LaFleur from TrueCondos.com, and we're talking about Kitchener Rising. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean specifically is why are so many successful Toronto condo investors now investing in condos in downtown Kitchener, which is known as Canada's Silicon Valley, for better cash flow, unlimited growth potential, lower risk, and half the prices of Toronto. So that's what we're going to be covering today. Sounds good? Okay, let's go. Let's start with a little story. That is me. 2004 me, I should say, not today. If you ask me, I haven't aged a day. But anyways, I just had graduated proudly from Wilfrid Laurier University in Waterloo. So my history with Kitchener-Waterloo area goes back to the early 2000s when I went to school there. But the city and the region has changed huge since I was a student there back in the early 2000s. It's a very different place than it was. Rewind back in time when I first arrived on the scene as a wet behind the ears freshman, so to speak. Year 2000, I lived in a house, rented a room in a house very similar to this one. Actually, this was right across the street from the house that I lived in, and mine looked very similar to this. Simple little semi-detached townhouse, probably built in the 1970s, maybe the 1960s. And I remember this distinctly because back in 2000, this for sale sign went up a lawn for this place and was up for $134,000. And I remember talking to my older brother at the time who was working as a professional and started to earn some money. And they were starting to bat around this idea about, hey, maybe instead of renting a place, you should just buy one of these houses and I'll be in one of the rooms and you can rent out the others. Well, unfortunately, we batted around the idea back and forth like so many would-be investors do, but we never actually took action on that idea. Maybe at the time we thought the price was too high. Well, of course, no surprise that now today in 2018, the value of that house is approximately in the mid 400s, around $450,000. So the value has pretty much tripled since then. Could have bought that property in Waterloo, Kitchener-Waterloo, and would have made a killing on that property, but did not take action, missed out. Well, I want to tell you right now, do not miss out on the opportunity that is in front of you today with Kitchener-Waterloo and investing in Kitchener-Waterloo. Let's talk about what Kitchener is. Kitchener is Canada's Silicon Valley. What do I mean by that? Well, you may or may not be familiar with the many, many huge technology companies that are setting up shop or already set up shop in Kitchener-Waterloo. Here's just a few of them. Of course, Google, most famous one. They've recently announced a major expansion in Kitchener-Waterloo, going from just a couple hundred employees to getting into the thousands of employees. They are growing like crazy. Shopify is a huge and very successful recent Canadian company. BlackBerry is still there in Kitchener-Waterloo. Of course, they've suffered and they've not what they used to be, but they're still there and they're still in business and they still employ a large number of people in Kitchener-Waterloo. One I want to zoom in on here specifically is Catalyst 137. You can see Catalyst 137. So Catalyst 137 is a tech accelerator. And let's take a look at some renderings here. This is going to be a 500,000 square foot space as a tech accelerator with all kinds of tech companies and startups opening up in there. The startup scene in Kitchener-Waterloo is unbelievable. The amount of wealth that is being created and generated in this region is really unprecedented. Here's some renderings of what the Catalyst 137 specifically is going to look like. 500,000 square feet. They just announced, and it's already 85% pre-leased. 85% pre-leased. They're going to be constructing this, converting some old industrial space into this very funky, cool. There you see from above what the size of it in downtown Kitchener there. Massive undertaking, 500,000 square feet. Just that one thing alone represents thousands of jobs. And this is just one story of many, many stories of what's happening in downtown Kitchener and the incredible tech explosion that is happening there. So here's an interesting fact. Waterloo region added 8,400 tech jobs from 2011 to 2016, representing 65.6% growth. That outpaced the growth of Silicon Valley. It was the second fastest rate of tech labor pool growth of any area, of any city, of any region in North America. So huge growth, 8,400 tech jobs added in that 5-year period, and that is likely going to accelerate as things are moving forward. As I said, just with the one thing alone, Catalyst 137 alone, you're talking about thousands of jobs there. Google expanding, and so much more. This is a very fast growing economy. And it all starts with the world-class universities and colleges, of course, that are home in Kitchener-Waterloo. So, of course, University of Waterloo is the mecca of technology and sciences and engineering. And so many of these companies are drawn to Kitchener-Waterloo because of the incredibly high-quality graduates coming from University of Waterloo. But of course, my alma mater as well, Wilfrid Laurier, in its own right, is now becoming a very large, somewhat large university in Canada, about 20,000 students or so. Back in my day, it was known as the small campus if you wanted to go to a smaller university in Canada, well less than 10,000 students. And it was like where everybody knew your name. Well, those days are gone. Laurier is now a massive campus, and the business school, of course, continues to be one of the best in the country. And we also have Conestoga College. Conestoga College is Ontario's fastest growing college, and it's again adding to that skilled labor pool that these tech companies are drawing from. Kitchener is growing and fast. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm talking population now. So here's an interesting chart talking about the Kitchener-Waterloo population growth, 2011 to 2016 from the census. As you can see, 5.5% growth for this region over that time period, which you might say, well, is that a lot? Is that a little? I don't know. Well, we all know that Toronto, of course, is known as a very fast-growing region, and we talk constantly about the 100,000 people coming to the GTA region every year. Well, the city of Toronto, actually, their growth rate from 2011-2016 was only 4.3%. 4.3% versus Kitchener-Waterloo, 5.5%. Again, you look at overall Ontario, 4.6%. So Kitchener-Waterloo is growing faster than the Ontario growth rate, and it's growing faster than Toronto is. Kitchener's rental market is extremely undersupplied. So take a look at this chart here showing the rental condominium vacancy rate. So October 2017 is the main number I want to point out to you, 0.7%. 0.7% vacancy rate for condominium buildings. Now, Kitchener-Waterloo has a similar story happening is happening in Toronto and many other cities. That is, most of the rental housing stock is very old, outdated, and undesirable, especially by high-quality tenants. As you can see, the apartment rental vacancy rate, although it's still extremely low, is much, much higher than the condominium vacancy rate. So again, as an investor, this is a great play to get into, which is condominium rentals for investment, because there's a massive shortage there. That vacancy rate is just, it's essentially zero, which is everything that's coming out is being rented right away. The other great thing about Kitchener is it's overflowing with high-quality tenants. We talked a lot about the tech base, the jobs that are in Kitchener-Waterloo, and these are, of course, very high-paying jobs for the most part. This is not, they're not opening up Walmarts and McDonald's here. These are, $100 to $1 billion type companies and startups that have massive needs for high-quality graduates and professionals from the area. So it's overflowing with high-quality tenants. Here's another very interesting chart and statistic talking about the number of rental households in the Kitchener area by income. So from 2011 to 2016, you can see how the different income brackets have grown. And what's very interesting and obviously jumps out is the top end of the income spectrum is what's growing the most. So 80,000 to 100,000 grew by 72%, and 100,000 and up grew by 65%. So again, thousands of new tenants are being added to this market who are making very good salaries. These are dream tenants to have, and these are perfect tenants for condominium investors to be renting to. So the Kitchener real estate market is maturing. It's maturing. It's come a long way. Take a look at this very recent article just pulled from TVO.com, published just right last week in April as I'm recording this video. Housing crunch is dashing dreams in Kitchener-Waterloo. So talking about how it's becoming harder and harder for people to be able to afford that classic single detached house. So many people came to Kitchener-Waterloo from other places and go there because the real estate has been, at least, much, much cheaper, and people will be able to easily get into detached housing. But same story that we've seen play out in Toronto over the last decade is now starting to play out here as well. We've seen this pattern before. We've seen this movie before. People being priced out of that market. And so enter the condominium market. This is exactly where we come in as condo investors, take advantage of this maturing marketplace where the condominium now suddenly makes a lot of sense because it's so much cheaper than the typical detached house. So again, look at this quote from the article. $582,000 is now the average price of a detached house. And again, the typical age of that house, you got to understand the housing stock in Kitchener-Waterloo, similar to Toronto. It's quite old for the most part. The residential real estate market may be stagnating in the rest of Ontario as a whole, but Kitchener-Waterloo prices are holding steady after a booming 2017. Average prices up 21%. But Kitchener is still an absolute bargain when you compare it to Toronto. So let's take a look. Let's what I call the average Toronto condo right now. So if you're looking for a brand new pre-construction condo in prime downtown Toronto, this is roughly what you're looking at. You want to get into something as a starter sort of a unit. 1 bedroom, 500 square feet. Average price about $1,100 to $1,200 a square foot. Maintenance fees, land transfer taxes, and so on and so on. Let's compare it to what we have at DTK Condos in downtown Kitchener. 1 bedroom condo, similar size. The price is less than half, way less than half the price of the average 1 bedroom in prime downtown Toronto. The deposits required, of course, also less than half. The maintenance fees are lower. The land transfer tax is dramatically lower. Development charges are zero. We have that special incentive at DTK Condos right now for a limited time, $0 as opposed to the Toronto development levies, which are constantly increasing. And now for 1 bedrooms are sitting at around $15,000 to $25,000. Property taxes, of course, the rate of property taxes in Kitchener is a little bit higher than Toronto, but because the price point you're buying is so much less, the actual amount you pay is significantly less. But what's most interesting, of course, is as an investor, is what kind of rent can I get from these units? And the answer is, although the prices are half or less than half of what you're paying in Toronto, the rents are not half. The rents are not less than half. In fact, they're around 65% or so on average. So this is what I call the cash flow advantage, 50% of the price, but with 65% of the rents. And that's why I say it's like buying in Toronto in 2005, back in the day when cash flow was readily available and easy to get. Those days, for the most part, are gone in Toronto. It's just becoming much more difficult to find that sort of price to rent ratio because the prices have increased so much in Toronto over the past couple of years. So let's jump into DTK Condos specifically and talk a little bit about this project and why I'm so excited about it. So there it is, the podium of the building, beautiful looking building, would fit right in Toronto or any other big city. And let's talk first of all about connectivity and location of the project. Is a super connected location. You're right on the brand new LRT. Here's the LRT map. It's $1 billion LRT, which covers Kitchener and Waterloo, connects the downtown Kitchener with the University of Waterloo, Laurier, all the way up to the major mall in Waterloo, the Conestoga Mall. So you're hyper connected because it's right outside your door. There in this rendering, you can see the LRT literally going right by your door. The stop is right at your door. Here's another great rendering from above showing the LRT, how it wraps around the corner and goes right beside your building, and the stop is literally 60 seconds away from your door. So you've got that connectivity. Here's the map of showing where DTK is, and you can see the GO and VIA station. The GO train station you can walk to in 10 minutes, and you can see there the future transit hub. That's a major investment that's going in, and you'll be able to walk to that as well. Here's our favorite premier, maybe not, no comment. But what I'm most interested in is the three big words behind her head, high-speed rail. And she just announced literally a week ago the officially high-speed rail connection is happening. It's going in, and this is huge. This is major news for Kitchener-Waterloo. High-speed rail is going to be connecting Kitchener to London, but also, of course, to Union Station in downtown Toronto. And so you're going to be able to get minimum speeds of 250 kilometers an hour. You're going to be able to get downtown Toronto from Kitchener, downtown Kitchener, in approximately 48 minutes, which is faster to get downtown than from, say Richmond Hill or Oshawa or Burlington, these kind of places. It's absolutely incredible that this is finally now happening. We've been talking about this for a generation, and now it's finally happening, and the funds are moving forward, and you're going to be able to connect London, Kitchener, and Toronto in this amazing high-speed rail connection. So the high-speed rail this is what I call the $11 billion game changer for Kitchener. This is an $11 billion investment, and it'll be up and running, they say, by 2025 is the schedule. Condo Investing 101. What is the best unit to buy for investment? Well, the answer is you should always buy the best, for the best cash flow and the best appreciation, always buy the smallest unit of a given type. And so when we're investing in condos, this is one of the most frequent questions I get, and I always tell people, look for the most efficiently laid out units. And those are the units you want to focus on as an investor in any given building. And what's amazing is that the developer of DTK Condos, basically what they did is they took the best units, the best floor plans from every building, best one bedroom, best 1+ dens, 2 bedrooms, those layouts that every investor is drooling for and trying to get their hands on, and they put them all in one building. So the result is this beautifully laid out, perfectly symmetrical floor plate, which has just phenomenal floor plans. Every single unit has not an ounce of wasted space. They're just perfect units, 1 bedrooms, 1+ dens. Look at those beautiful, perfectly square little 1 bedrooms on the ends, 2 bedrooms on all 4 corners, 1 bedroom in dens, and 1 bed, just beautifully laid out units. So the end result is that basically every single floor plan in this building is certainly True Condos approved. I definitely would recommend picking any of these units, and none of these units are ones that I would say as an investor you want to avoid this one because it's really not great for investment. These are all beautifully laid out units. And there you can see some of the floor plans there. I'd love to be able to send these to you, of course, so make sure you do get the floor plans and pricing info from me right now as soon as you finish watching this video. So let's talk about the developer themselves, which is Innate Developments. If you're familiar with their work in Waterloo, they've built many buildings by the Waterloo campuses. And now what they're noticing is a major shift and a major trend from people moving to downtown Kitchener. And they're following the money, they're following the trends. And all that investment is happening and going into downtown Kitchener, as we talked about, from tech companies to government infrastructure projects, the high-speed rail, the LRT, revitalization, warehouses being converted. All the action is now moving to downtown Kitchener, and it's really an amazing story of a revitalizing downtown. And so they're shifting their focus now to downtown Kitchener, and it all starts with DTK Condos, of course. We have an amazing 5-star incentive package for you as an investor. Start with true insider pricing, the first opportunity to buy. As I said, you're getting $0 development levies, which is amazing savings, free assignment. You're getting a smart home tech package that includes smart key entry, smart lighting, smart thermostats, all included. And you're also offering you, especially helpful for the GTA investor, a free leasing and property management package for 1 year. So Sage Living, which is the developer's property management arm, they're going to be renting out your units and managing it for you at no cost for the first year. And if you wish to continue after that, the cost will be very minimal to keep that going in perpetuity if you want to. So there you have it. Don't miss out on this opportunity that is happening in downtown Kitchener. Make sure you get the floor plans and prices now. Contact me, Andrew at truecondos.com, or call me 416-371-2333. And I look forward to talking to you soon.